Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Arundhati Ramnan, and with me as always, Shruti Mishra. These are the top headlines from the startup world.
There is a point in the near future, I guess, where people can extrapolate themselves on when it gets to a break-even point.
Ola Electric prices its IPO at between 72 and 76 rupees per share, looks to raise 5,500 crore rupees through a fresh issue of shares. Promoter Bhavish Agarwal says he has cut back on the stake he is selling as he expects the value of his holding to rise going forward. CE Infosystems, the parent entity of MapMy India, accuses Ola Electric of copying its data to build Ola Maps. According to Forbes India, MapMy India added that Ola cached and saved the data and reverse engineered a licensed product. First Cry is expected to file its red herring prospectus this week for an IPO. Reports suggest IPO will value the baby and mother care products retailer between $3 billion and $3.5 billion. Will feature a primary fundraising of $217 million. Additionally, there will be an offer for sale of 54 million shares. Gruner Renewable Energy, a sustainable biogas solution provider in India, secures $60 million to further expand presence in the green energy domain. This as it moves ahead to establish new compressed biogas plants across the country. Electric vehicle and clean energy startup Simple Energy raises $20 million in a Series A round led by HNIs. The funds will be used to scale up the production of two key offerings, Simple One and Simple.1. Moxie Beauty, a D2C haircare brand, gets 17.3 crore rupees from Fireside Ventures and several angel investors. The funds will be strategically allocated towards product innovation and research, hiring talent and expanding distribution channels. The big story this evening, India is all set to get its first IPO from an electric vehicle manufacturer. Ola Electric's much-awaited initial public offer will open on Friday and will be priced between 72 and 76 rupees per share. The company aims to raise 5,500 crore rupees from a fresh issue of shares. The IPO will also include an offer for sale from promoter Bhavish Agarwal and investors like Temasek and SoftBank. However, the pricing pegs the company's valuation at $4 billion. That's 20% lower than the $5.4 billion valuation assigned to it by a fund, raising exercise in September. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, founder Bhavish Agarwal said he has cut back on the stake he is selling because he expects the value of his holding to rise going forward. Take a look.
From the beginning, our issue is largely a primary issue. Even now, if you think almost 90% of more than 90% of the capital raise is going to be primary, because we are investing for growth and we are investing for making this company and the Indian EV ecosystem much larger. So the secondary was always a small portion of it, and my share was a small part of that. And you're right, I have cut back a little bit because I do feel there's a lot of growth ahead. There's a lot of opportunity for investors to make money ahead, and I also see my own share value rise in the future.
We understand from sources that the Bharat Startup Ecosystem Registry, also known as BHASKAR, aims to start onboarding as part of the government's 100-day agenda. Remember, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal had unveiled a new database during Startup Mahakumbh. Abhimanyu Sharma joins us with more. Abhimanyu, what are you picking up from your sources?
The Bharat Startup Knowledge Access Registry, abbreviated as BHASKAR, is being dubbed as the next big thing in India's startup ecosystem. According to the government, this initiative is a part of the government's 100-day agenda, and action on this front may take place as early as August this year. Now, speaking of the details of the initiative, it is going to be hosted on the Startup India Hub, and all elements and stakeholders of the startup ecosystem would be hosted on this platform, which would include not just recognized startups and aspiring entrepreneurs, but even banks and incubators, which would allow for AI searchability on the platform to allow searches to take place in the sort of a yellow pages initiative, which would allow stakeholders of the initiative to be able to search about stakeholders and elements of the ecosystem in a certain sector, in a certain region, or in a certain city. The initiative aims to allow for better planning as well as cost reduction introduction for aspiring startups, since they would be able to search for raw material providers as well as other upstream and downstream elements of the ecosystem as far as establishing a business is concerned. Also, it will allow companies to search for the exact number of competitors in a certain region, and also allow for stronger and more resilient supply chains across the country. Also, it is an open source platform which already had been mentioned in this year's economic survey, and it remains to be seen how early work would start on this platform.
Moving on, new age skincare brand Hyphen, co-founded by Pep Brands, the parent company of M Caffeine, and celebrity entrepreneur Kriti Sanon, completes a year. Hyphen claims it is set to be India's fastest growing 100 crore rupee D2C brand within 12 months of launch. So we decided to learn more about the journey so far. Joining me now are its co-founders Kriti Sanon, who's also the Chief Customer Officer at Hyphen, and CEO Tarun Sharma. Kriti and Tarun, welcome back to Startup Street. Kriti, let me start with you. It's been a year since we last spoke. It was at the launch of Hyphen. You said you're hyphenating nature and science and all the good ingredients. So tell us, how has the year been? What kind of customer feedback have you got so far? And has it met your expectations?
Of course it has. It's been an amazing year, an amazing start. I don't think I could ask for anything more for the brand. I think the customers have given the brand so much love. We have so many customers also coming back, about 60% of them, at least 60 to 70, I think, coming back every time, you know, and the loyalty of the customers has been amazing. I think there are so many products that are doing so well. And the quality heightened with affordability, I think, has been the USP of the brand. And as Tarun and Vaishali promised me, we're crossing 100 CR annual run rate in July within like 12 months, which is what I promised you last interview that we did, you know, at the launch.
Absolutely, Kriti. Now, let me quickly go to Tarun. Tarun, you know, like Kriti mentioned, you claim that Hyphen is set to become India's fastest 100 crore rupee D2C brand. So share with us what strategies will be employed to continue this growth.
Thank you so much for having us, Shruti. And this is where we started our first vision of being 100 crore in 12 months. I'm glad to announce that we'll be crossing 100 crores annualized. So first 6 months, we took a lot of time to understand that the product market fit and the brand market fit from the hypothesis standpoint of what we created is landing or not. The moment the product market fit came in around December and January, we started hype scaling. We have been growing month on month, 100% in some of the months, achieving that 100 crore annualized mark. But the key to it is understanding the core consumer, building the right categories for them, and providing channel expansion wherever it is possible, whether it's a Nykaa or the new age channels like quick commerce or the largest contributor to the sales, which is D2C. So I think at the core, these are the 3 C's we work on, and we continue to work on it.
All right. Let me go back to Kriti. Kriti, picking up from what you just said, you know, you launched with 3 products, and I believe today you have over 20 products. So take us to some of the best-selling offerings that have been launched in the past year. Also tell us what factors have contributed to Hyphen's customer loyalty.
I feel, first I'll answer your second question. I feel the customer loyalty sort of comes from, you know, yes, it is a celebrity-owned brand, but the actual celebrity, I feel, is the quality of the product. Yeah. And when that product has been hyphened with affordability, you know, which I think reaches out to the maximum consumer base in India, I think that is what has sort of got the customers coming back for the same products again, because they love the quality of the product and they can afford it. The best sellers have been, I think our lip balms have really, really been viral. They've been best sellers on every platform. They've been doing so well that we've, on customer demand, we're launching the tinted versions of the same lip balms, the VIP lip balms.
Okay.
And I'm excited about that. Apart from that, I also feel that the sunscreens, both the sunscreens, the Ola IPO sunscreen and the ultralight water sunscreen have been doing really, really well. I've been seeing some really amazing viral videos of the waterlight sunscreen because it's just so light, and most people hate wearing sunscreen because it's just, you know, it feels thick, it feels heavy. And that was the reason why we created this, especially for, you know, summers and, you know, in India, how it can get so humid and hot. So I think that's been doing.
You know, Kriti, you mentioned earlier when we met at the launch and you said you want your consumers to have it all, and clearly that's what your offerings are doing. Going back to Tarun, you've projected 500 crore rupees in customer sales within the next 3 years. What makes you bullish on achieving this goal, and where do you see the next leg of growth coming from? If you could take us through the expansion plans.
The confidence in scaling the brand to 500 crores in the next 36 months comes from the fundamentals of how the brand is behaving. The repeats are very high. The average rating of all our products is crossing 4.5 out of 5. The market share in subcategories like lip balm, we have been able to achieve double digit in the, let's say, 8 to 9 months of launch. The key indicators of the brand is really, really exciting. And having done it once in M-Caffeine, we believe that the right key indicators of the brand at early stage also calls for massive amount of investments across R&D, technology, distribution, marketing. To give you some of the data points, we generated close to about 1 billion impressions in the last 7 months, which essentially means consumers have a very high intent of looking at the brand. Whether they're purchasing today or whether they will be purchasing 3 months down the line is a function of how we roll up them to the brand. So from 100 crores to 500 crores, the core strategy would be to widen our product portfolio for solving the consumer need, as Kriti was telling you. But at the same time, going really deep in the categories which have worked well for us.
So you've placed Hyphen at a mass premium positioning. You know, Kriti spoke about pricing. Do you feel you're competitively priced? There is fierce competition in this space. And if you could also quickly share with us your top markets and the revenue mix so far.
We believe we are very competitively priced. The kind of product and the kind of ingredients we get to a mix of, you can't get from a pricing standpoint, you can't get the same quality of the product at this price. In terms of top geographies, I think about 52% of our business would come from top 10 cities, and the rest 48% would come from top. I think it will change drastically in the next 12 months.
All right. You know, Tarun, you've also shared with us your future growth targets with Hyphen. But if you could quickly tell us any new product categories that you're looking to enter now.
We are present in serums, sunscreens, moisturizers, cleansers, lip balms. We'll continue to go deep in our winner categories like these 5 ones. But at the core of Hyphen's operating machinery, R&D sits, consumer-led R&D. You will see a lot of India's first kind of disruptor products. We just launched one, Dewy Prep, and it just flew out. This is the third out-of-stock situation we are looking at from an operations standpoint for this product. The demand was so huge. So apart from going into your established categories, going deep into your established categories, you would see Hyphen launching India's first of its kind probably every 6 months.
Tarun and Kriti, many thanks for joining us, and we'll surely keep a track of Hyphen's growth journey and hope to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us on Startup Street today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Moving on, Gurugram-based higher education services startup College Dekho has reportedly raised $9 million as part of its extended Series B funding round led by existing investors. Now, prior to this, the startup had raised $9 million in funding from Jainville Limited in December of 2022. The latest investment brings its all-time raise to over $90 million. So what's the fund allocation plan? We put Ruchir Arora, the co-founder and CEO of College Dekho, on the hot seat to ask him just that. Ruchir, you know, thank you so much for taking time out and being on the show with us again. You know, like I said in the beginning, you've raised $9 million according to reports. So you could, you know, probably confirm that for us. And can you also tell us, how do you plan to put these funds to use? Any new, you know, services on the anvil that we can look forward to?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me again. I think, first of all, a small correction. We've raised close to about 60 million till date, not 90. That's sort of almost 50% more than what we think.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is part of an extended round. We've as you know, this was sort of long committed back. It's just that the money came in today, so the news came in today. So we are we've been on our journey as we had started. A lot of that plans were to put this money in growth of operations. And one big agenda in our head was to reach to EBITDA and cash profitability. We're sort of happy to share that we've reached EBITDA profitability, and hopefully we'll be sort of cash positive very soon. And you know, we've seen some good growth, great growth over the last year, and sort of happy to talk more about it.
Absolutely. In fact, you preempted my next question, right? So in FY24, you reported a revenue of about 239 crore rupees. So, what are you hoping to clock in this financial year? Like you just said, you've turned EBITDA profitable. Congratulations on that. But when can we see you fully turn profitable? And where will the next leg of growth come from for College Deco?
So I think we should reach close to about 300 crores this year. And thank you for the congratulations. I think it was sort of an agenda that we took on our head when we started the last fundraise. I think there are still, to be fair, College Deco does close to about 100,000 admissions, 1 lakh admissions out of the 1 crore admissions that happen in colleges every year. So we still have a very huge headroom to play. However, we've been sort of investing in the huge skilling sector for college students. And I think that's been a big news item across the globe about how skilling is going to be a big role in education going forward. So we've sort of started our own College Deco branded courses and skilling courses across colleges and universities. Currently, we have close to about 2,000 students enrolled there, but that's sort of a growth engine which is sort of fighting very, very strongly for us.
So skilling is the next, a big thing that you are looking at, and that's what you've started on. But you've also claimed to have counseled over 7 million students across test preparation, college discovery, selection guidance, and enrollment, right? So you've collaborated also with about 1,500 colleges. So how do you plan to grow this further? Where are you seeing the most traction at this point between what's already existing for you?
I think the big one here is the fact that even today, close to about 70% of kids in India essentially come from tier 2, tier 3 cities, and also go to colleges which are either non-aided or are non-government colleges or private in nature. And I think this is the problem that we're trying to solve, the problem for real Bharat, right? Which is how do you help this tier 2, tier 3 kid reach the right potential, not only through finding the right college, which as I said, we are just about 1 lakh out of the 70 lakh kids who come from tier 2, tier 3 kids, but also helping these colleges and kids learn better through providing curriculum interventions, etc. So I think both sides of our business are growing fairly rapidly, and hopefully we see a clear window from here to about 3-4 lakh admissions in the next couple of years.
So big room for growth over there. But, speaking of building or doing for Bharat, the recent budget, the government made announcements with significant allocations towards skilling being the big thing there, education as well as youth development. So what do you make of this, and what's the kind of impact you expect?
I think skilling is, it's not a sort of unknown factor. That there are lots of reports that come out every year that say, about 45% of Indian youth is not employable in the first year, or they're not getting the right skills or the right sort of education or skilling-oriented education in the college. And that is the problem that we want to solve. I think the budget is very helpful. I think there's some focus on the fact that we need to make our youth more employable than just getting them degrees. Is, I think, a brilliant focus by the government. And we are essentially trying to play a small part in making sure that this reaches the grassroots level, right?
Absolutely.
At a price point and at the grassroots level where you can get more employable youth and more jobs in the market.
Absolutely. So more jobs in the market. You also recently launched your Heart Report, which highlights that despite increased internet penetration, India's youth are still unable to look for, they're still not looking, they're only looking for education as a keyword instead of focusing their search more around being job oriented. So, what were the key highlights of your report, and what kind of skills are, on top of the radar right now?
Unsurprisingly, the computer science is one of the most searched keywords. And courses around computer science, which is sort of expected out of a country like us. There are a few very interesting bits in that. I think the most interesting one is that if you look at the offline world, right, when people do get into education, a lot of people end up doing BCom or BSc or Bachelor of Arts, which consists of almost 60% of our enrollments. But the moment people get exposure to internet and exposure to the quality of information available, the change in trend towards what kind of courses am I searching? So suddenly computer science, surprisingly, nursing is a very big area where people search. Engineering is a big area. MBA is a big area. So that's a huge trend that we've seen. As you get youth exposure to the right quality of content, the fact that he's not stuck if he's in a small city, there are opportunities out there for him or her to make. Suddenly the choice expands the horizon, expands towards more vocational, more job-oriented courses. That's one trend that we have seen.
Right.
Another interesting trend that I'm going to take just 30 seconds more. Another interesting trend that we've seen is the fact that people want to do education, higher education, closer to their homes than earlier, right? So that is a trend that we've seen, which is essentially big one after COVID. Earlier, people wanted to migrate to bigger cities. Now they're happy to stay in smaller towns like Lucknow or Agra and pursue higher education.
So people want to stay closer to home at this point. So interesting trends there also, the kind of jobs people are looking at, whether it's engineering or nursing, any of that. So interesting trends out there. All right, Ruchir, thank you so much for taking time out and being on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But when we return, we get you a special discussion with Google DeepMind Senior Director Seshu Ajarappu and Director Manish Gupta on AI and various programs to empower startups. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on Startup Street. Google unveiled a suite of tools and initiatives aimed at empowering India's AI innovators at the recently held Google I/O Connect in Bengaluru 2024. Speaking to CNBC-TV18's Ritu Singh on the sidelines of the event, Google DeepMind Senior Director Seshu Ajarappu and Director Manish Gupta said that Google was in the early stages of an AI platform shift and that India is well positioned to lead this revolution. Take a look.
Yeah, I'd say in a very significant fashion. I would say the first thing is there are 1.5 million developers that use our Gemini models in the world. Right? Most of them use these models through our AI studio. And India features prominently in our AI studio user base. So that's one thing. So we can't advance these models without working with the Indian developers. The second thing I would say is India offers a rich field to work with in terms of multimodal, multilingual, and mobile first. Multimodal in the sense of Indians communicate with these agents in a much more diverse fashion than other users do, we notice. And multilingual, which other country offers the rich linguistic landscape more so than India? And then Indian users have always been ahead in the mobile revolution.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. But Manish, to get more specific to India, what do you make of the pace at which Indian companies, India is adopting AI, and especially generative AI, which has been the buzzword? We've all had a crash course, whether we like it or not in the last couple of years. But what are some of the challenges and opportunities that you find that are unique to the India market?
Yeah, so first of all, it is very heartening to see so many companies now, startups, beginning to utilize Gen AI. India, we tend to be very multimodal in our behavior. Yeah. We're not just happy to just type questions. We like communicating with the systems through voice. We, in fact, Google Lens has a lot of usage in India because we like showing pictures and so on. And such a rich diversity of languages that we speak. So it's been, again, wonderful to see so many startups beginning to build LLMs that will understand Indian languages very well. Of course, my own team is at the forefront of a lot of these contributions, which we are both making to our own products, to Google's Gemma models, as well as we are contributing data sets and benchmarks to the community. Things like the Vani data set, things like this Indic bench, which is a new benchmark covering 29 Indian languages. So we don't just think in terms of, only a few or all 22 scheduled languages. Our goal is to cover languages spoken by in each and every corner of India.
So, in terms of some of the use cases that are specific to India and its requirements in healthcare, education, and some of the critical sectors.
So, Google DeepMind's mission is to advance AI and benefit humanity. Right? There is no benefiting humanity without thinking of the canonical problems of our time, which are climate control, energy scarcity, disease and disease understanding and drug delivery. So we work in all those areas. We have deep projects in each of these, but these are out there a little bit longer term. But we're making advances in all of these areas that will benefit definitely the Indian ecosystem.
I would also mention there are models like LearnLM, MedLM, where we are taking some of these very advanced capabilities that Gemini has, right? These multimodal capabilities, and really now achieving transformative impact on some of these solutions. So we've been partnering with the likes of Apollo Healthcare in India, where we've licensed a lot of these models, right, to to companies like Apollo and let them build solutions, right? That will do early screening for various forms of cancer.
You're also working with the Ministry of Electronics and IT to support 10,000 startups, in their mission towards being more AI ready. Just tell us a bit about that program and how you're helping these startups.
Yes. So we've committed to working with the MIT on training at least 10,000 startups on AI technologies. We've taken all of these programs that we have had, like Startup School and so on, and making them AI first. We've started to provide cloud credits, including up to $350,000 in cloud credit to eligible AI startups to get them, again, the compute that they need, as well as rolling out new programs like AI Hackathon, AI Bootcamp to, again, get people both skilled, give them access to all of these wonderful tools.
What you would like to see from the government?
Yeah, so I think the way I think of this is the exceptional promise of AI requires exceptional care. And regulation is a big part of that exceptional care. So we don't wait for the governments to regulate us, we self-regulate us. We published AI principles many years ago, and we update them every quarter. We've conducted hundreds of reviews internally to make sure that we're getting it right. We think of regulators as friends, and we try to influence regulation so that we do this in a proper fashion. I think the one thing I would say is, like, you can't do this kind of regulation in isolation. You have to work with the companies in coming up with proper regulations together. So I'd say I encourage them to work with us.
And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.